Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video, I'm taking my newest Shundo Pokemon, Shundo Mega Swampert, to the Mega Master League to seek and destroy Zacian. Now this is actually the Pokemon that I used my silver bottle cap on. My trade luck with Shiny Mudkip was pretty rough, so I ended up making my own Shundo courtesy of that bottle cap. Now Mega Swampert, it's nowhere near a top tier Mega in the Mega Master League, so I'm going to need a strong supporting cast. I put Zacian as the safe switch and Xerneas as the closer, and was actually able to have back-to-back positive sets at 3150 with this team. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches, and in game number 1, we're off to an incredibly strong start, leading Mega Swampert into Mega Tyranitar. Even though we have a massive type advantage, Mega Tyranitar's stats are so much higher than Swampert's, the Tyranitar is still going to make this very, very close in the zeros. It looks like I will be able to survive 2 Brutal Swings, but I'm going to exit this matchup deep into the red HP. Hydro Cannon lands devastating damage onto Tyranitar. I save the Swampert and make a catch onto Zacian. I want to check and see if they do have a fairy counter in the back. My opponent is going to send in their own Zacian to the mirror, and I am incredibly happy to bait this out. Zacian ground form is the worst case scenario for Xerneas, so baiting this out should hopefully set up my Xerneas for success in the endgame. I'm not quite able to make it to the back-to-back close combats here, so I'm just going to end up no-shielding. My opponent is doubled up, so I know as I bring in the Swampert, I'm going to have to shield and overfarm, but Zacian is not the fastest to close combat, so I should be able to overfarm to the back-to-back Hydros before firing off my move. This is going to be the end of Zacian. I have a charge attack loaded to inflict some pretty nice damage onto that Tyranitar if they bring it back in. My opponent sends in Xerneas as their final Mon. What a beautiful turn, wait, and catch onto Tyranitar. That is very nicely done. I undercharge the Hydro Cannon, get the Mud Shot down, and unfortunately, Mega Swampert, which looks like it's been hitting the gym every day of its life, is going to make not 1, but 2 Hydro Cannons into the Xerneas. The first Hydro dealt devastating damage. The second Hydro is going to be peeling away that final shield, and now with an insurmountable health and shield advantage, I can just send in my own Xerneas. My opponent will fire off the Moonblast, but unfortunately, my Xerneas is just still too healthy. So I absorb the damage, make it to the close combat, and that is going to secure the Game 1 victory. My opponent was pretty soft to Swampert with their team, and Swampert surprisingly actually put in quite a bit of work. We've got the battle of content creators in the next match, leading into Caleb Peng Zacian. This is the matchup that I'm looking for. My opponent safe switches into Palkia, and I have a very nice response available with Xerneas. At this point, I'm expecting it is going to be double Dragon, with probably some Gyarados or maybe even Dragonite in the back. The reason that I brought in Xerneas here is that Zacian in a Palkia is actually not that comfortable for the Zacian, but Xerneas has a very, very convincing matchup. So I get to farm up, fire off the Moonblast, Caleb no shields, and Palkia will get KO'd. Back in comes the Zacian looking for a farm down, but I'm able to leave with a parting gift of a close combat to remove quite a bit of their health bar. They do get a 5 Metal Claw head start, but I can send back in the Swampert. They're just going for a close combat and dip, and I'm going to immediately queue up my switch into Zacian because it should be some kind of dragon at the back, and there it is, Mega Dragonite. Mega Dragonite looks so cool in-game. I'm just going straight for the Behemoth Blade here because I need damage and I need to get these shields away. I do not want to debuff myself just yet by going for a close combat bait because I need to take damage first, because as long as I'm still at full defense, I can very comfortably survive 2 Thunder Punches. Dragonite's extremely fast pacing, however, will make life actually quite uncomfortable in the 2 shield. In this moment, I have to be very mindful of a catch. I put up the shield as they go for the Thunder Punch. There's the catch attempt. In comes Zacian. I hold onto my energy and I respond with Swampert. But I don't really want to give a big farm down to the Dragonite. I undercharge Hydro Cannon to get an extra Mud Shot because I think the win con now is pretty clear. I have to make double Hydro. He can never use his shield because he knows I have the Behemoth Blade loaded. If I can't make a second Hydro, I lose the game, but I make the second Hydro. The undercharge giving me extra farm lets me get that second Hydro. He still can't afford to shield, and now I can send in Zacian, Metal Claw down, and take the win. That game ended up getting very close at the end. Dragonite is an absolute monster, but luckily we get the farm down, and that's a good game. We move to the next match, leading Mega Swampert into Zekrom. Now, on paper, this should be a dominant matchup for the Swampert, but if Zekrom is able to correctly shield Hydros, then things could get very awkward. I know that I can survive any one move here, so I no shield, and they're only on Crunch. I decide to make a bit of a weird play. I bank double Hydro, and I safe switch into the Zacian. Zekrom is going to farm up, and Zekrom actually CMP ties Fusion Bolt to my close combat. I'm now stuck on the field at -2, but the good news is even a -2 Zacian is still going to be able to survive the Fusion Bolt. So I end up taking monster damage. Zekrom overfarms quite a bit, and I think I'm just going to fully sacrifice the Zacian. I'm trusting in the fact that I have a ton of energy on the Swampert, and that energy is going to serve me well. In comes Xerneas. I'm going to go for a no-shield farm down. It looks like I should be able to get the Geomancy down here. It's going to be very, very close. Come on, Xerneas. No! They survive. 1 HP remaining. You can't even see that health bar. They're able to make the Fusion Bolt, and now this is where things get difficult. I really needed that shield advantage for this endgame because I still haven't seen their Mega Pokemon yet. And Primarina is able to absorb a Moonblast. I farm up just shy of the back-to-back close combats. Close combat should be enough to secure the KO. Close combat is going to land in the back. It's a Mega Latios, and maybe there's a chance. I'm full set of the Earthquake here. Earthquake is going to land. That is big damage onto the Latios. Swampert farming up, firing off the Hydro Cannon. This is going to be close. Will I make the Hydro, or will Latios get the farm down? If Latios gets the farm down, they win the game, and they do get the farm down, and unfortunately, that is going to cost me. What I didn't realize in the moment was had I stayed in, close combated first, and then pivoted out, I could have won the game because the close combat would have put them into a range where I could actually knock them out with the Earthquake. But unfortunately, I did not, and that's going to cost me. We pick up a very tricky lead in the next match, Swampert into Urshifu. Now, the Water Urshifu is very strong in the Mega Master League. I'm just going to bank energy on Swampert, safe switch into my Zacian, because I know that if there's a Water Urshifu, there's probably going to be a Primal Groudon behind it. Those two are an incredibly strong core pairing. I make the close combat. My opponent should CMP tie here, so I end up being very surprised that my opponent doesn't end up going for the CMP tie. It looks like they're going to go for a 1-shield full farm down. The good news for me is I have a Hydro Cannon banked. So even though they have a massive amount of energy on the Groudon, they're only going to get one move unless they give me their final shield. So I shield up the Precipice Blades, return fire with the Hydro Cannon, and Hydro Cannon will be shielded. So they are investing in the Groudon. They pivot back into the Urshifu. Urshifu launching its energy, but now Urshifu is going to be in trouble because I can bank a Hydro and then send in Xerneas. And Xerneas has a very convincing matchup into Water Urshifu. Urshifu can land back-to-back Aqua Jets, and it's just simply not going to matter. Xerneas will be able to survive. I'm going to farm up to the back-to-back close combats because I want to have a charge attack loaded for when that Groudon hits the field. Aqua Jet lands. Oh, that puts Xerneas very low, but not low enough. We're able to survive, make the close combat, pick the knockout, and now I have the CC loaded. Back in comes, oh no, not the Groudon. It's a Zacian revealed as their final Pokemon. Close combat is going to connect. In comes the Swampert. I need this Hydro Cannon to KO. Hydro Cannon knocks out here. I win this game. Hydro Cannon into the Zacian. Zacian survives. There's the pivot into the Groudon. And the game all comes down to this. Does Zacian have a move? If Zacian has a charge attack loaded, they will win this game. If they don't, then somehow we pulled off the win. Hydro lands. We survived the Metal Claw. They did not have a charge attack loaded, and we're able to get that win. Picking up a dominant lead win in the next match, leading Mega Swampert into Metagross. And it's not the Mega Metagross, that's actually the regular Metagross. My opponent safe switches into Palkia, and I will respond with the Xerneas. So I'm fully expecting that they are going to have a Gyarados in the back or a Mega Dragonite, because Steel plus Double Dragon is a pretty common archetype. I know the Gyarados as the Mega isn't technically a dragon, but it has Dragon Breath, so I basically consider it a pseudo-dragon in the Mega Master League. Moonblast is going to land. That's big damage, taking down the Palkia. In comes Metagross. This Metagross is on Fury Cutter. Mega Metagross typically will prefer Fury Cutter as well, because without it, you end up having really, really bad matchups into both Tyranitar and the Gyarados. Unfortunately for them, trying to Fury Cutter down a Xerneas is a very tall task. They take a close combat. They're forced to shield a second. They do exit with a ton of energy, though. I know that I do live one Earthquake, so I am going to be no shielding. This is not the Mega Metagross. They end up going for a Meteor Mash bait. At some point, I'm going to have to shield something, so I will put up the shield and then look to overfarm just a little bit before firing off the Hydro Cannon. If they don't shield, they're losing the Metagross. I know they're going to have their Mega in the back. Hydro will land. It gets KO'd in the back. Oh no, it's Tyranitar, and that is unfortunately going to be a win for me because Tyranitar, it can do very many things, but these are basically the two Pokemon that it can't do much against, and that is Zacian and Swampert. Hydro Cannon lands, big damage onto Tyranitar. Tyranitar will fire off the Brutal Swing, and now the reveal. It is not a Pokemon that Tyranitar can beat at the back. In comes Zacian, opponent sees the writing on the wall, and concedes the match. Hopping into the next match, leading Mega Swampert into Primarina. Now this matchup is where I would really like to have Sludge. I've definitely had some nice EQ lands, been very helpful, but not having Sludge is a little bit awkward into a Prima lead. However, I'm able to get a very nice catch of the Hydro Cannon onto Zacian just to check and see what my opponent has in the back. And they send out Mega Metagross. This is a very scary Pokemon. And this one is actually on Shadow Claw. Shadow Claw means they're going to have a lot more fast move pressure into the Zacian. Zacian getting fully farmed down here. I'm just going to be letting the Zacian go. The Zacian is double debuffed. It's getting shredded. I'm just going to let it get KO'd and send back in the Swampert. I really need this Hydro Cannon to take the knockout here. Hydro Cannon lands. Mega Metagross survives. 1 HP remaining. Mega Metagross, the stat product diff. That's going to be a big problem as they land a Meteor Mash, and suddenly I've lost a lot of HP. In the back, they have Palkia. I send in the Xerneas, but I think this is an endgame that I do not win. My opponent will fire off the Aqua Tail and then pivot back into the Primarina. And these Charms, even though Charm has been reworked to not do as much damage, these Charms are eating away at my remaining HP bar. I fire off the Moonblast, getting the shield from the Primarina. To my surprise, Primarina does actually end up firing off some energy. That's good, because every time they throw, I do get a full Geomancy sneak. I'm going for another Moonblast. I just need damage on this Primarina. Moonblast is going to be double shielded. I pivot into the Swampert, and I so desperately need this Hydro Cannon to KO. If this doesn't KO, I don't have a chance. It doesn't KO. Palkia is just going to get a full farm down. I'm forced to settle for a double resisted Hydro. And unfortunately, that's just going to be doing absolutely nothing to the Palkia. There's just no way for me to win that game, so I will resign the match. We get a bit of a tricky lead in the next match, beating Mega Swampert into Shiny Keldeo. Now this is the Keldeo Resolute form, which has access to Secret Sword. Secret Sword is a very efficient attack. It's very cheap to get to, but it will do quite a lot of damage. My opponent safe switches into Mega Gyarados, and thankfully I have a very good response to it as out comes Xerneas. Xerneas just ends up being such a convincing answer to the Mega Gyarados, because if you send in Zacian, Zacian can actually end up losing that matchup. That's how powerful Gyarados is. But Xerneas typically doesn't. Xerneas can very comfortably survive too. You have really consistent fast move pressure, and I'm able to secure the knockout. Unfortunately for me, this sets up a perfect farm down for Keldeo, and that is really not ideal. I just gave them an entire Secret Sword free. I bring back in the Swampert, farming up to the Earthquake, firing off the Hydro Cannon, bait, and thank goodness I get the shield from the Keldeo. I still don't think I get knocked out here by a Secret Sword, so I'm gonna no shield and take it to the end game with Zacian. Zacian is going to get outpaced here, but I can survive a Secret Sword very comfortably. Next season, Keldeo will have access to Low Kick, and Low Kick would be able to have some pretty nice fast move pressure here, but double resisted Poison Jab doesn't really move the needle. So I actually go for the CMP tie, knock them out with the close combat, and in the back is Palkia. This game should be a win. I'm counting on a combination of a close combat landing into a double resisted Hydro Cannon, actually taking the win. Now, Hydro Cannon, we saw from the previous game, it's not going to do much to Palkia, but I do believe that with the close combat damage and with all the extra Metal Claws that I'm able to land, that it should be enough to take the KO. Close combat lands, and that should be Hydro Cannon range. I can just stay in because Palkia can never farm down, and I'm only one away from the Hydro. So I send in the Swampert, get to the Hydro, and that's going to be a win. Keldeo lead, definitely a pretty scary one, but Swampert closes the game. Hopping into the next match, leading Mega Swampert into Palkia, and this is an absolutely awful lead. I'm just going to farm up energy with Swampert, but I have to farm all the way up to an Earthquake if I want to hit them for any meaningful damage. A safe switch into the Zacian, out comes Mega Metagross, and this is going from bad to worse. Mega Metagross, I had to bait out, but I think I'm in quite a bit of trouble. I go for the Behemoth Blade. Behemoth Blade, that animation was very, very cool. The sparkles were left across the battlefield for a while there. They full send the Earthquake and take the KO. Back in comes Swampert. Swampert's going to be no shielding the Meteor Mash. I now know that my Hydro wouldn't have KO'd from there, so that's why I didn't throw it. Oh, they try for the CMP sack swap there as they send in Palkia. They were trying to catch the Hydro, but thankfully I'm able to hold onto my energy, and in comes Xerneas. Xerneas is going to have to deal with an absolute onslaught of Aqua Tails, as his Palkia did bank a ton of energy before switching out. There's Aqua Tail number 1, shortly followed thereafter by Aqua Tail number 2. That's going to be getting Xerneas very low. Thankfully, I'm barely able to farm up to the back-to-back close combats. They were very close to Aqua Tail number 3. My opponent puts up the shield, and they actually go for a catch, as they end up saving that Palkia with the Aqua Tail and catching the close combat onto Zacian. Zacian instantly answered with the Swampert. I'm firing off the Hydro Cannon and then going for a farm down. Hydro lands, getting them very low. Zacian gets fully farmed down. Look at Swampert go, but I just have no HP on any Mon. In comes Palkia. It's going to be a CMP tie, and this is going to be very, very tough. I know that the Hydro Cannon that I clicked will not knock out, but I'm hoping that I can farm them into range where I can snipe them with the Geomancy. I'm going to get them low, switch into the Xerneas, but I don't get the snipe. They're able to save the Palkia. Back in comes the Metagross. Metagross looking for a farm down, but not before Xerneas makes the close combat. Close combat gets the shield. Hydro will get the knockout, and the game comes down to this. Did Palkia bank a move, or are they one away? In comes the Palkia, and they had the Aqua Tail loaded. So close to fighting back and winning the Palkia lead, but unfortunately, that game ends in defeat. Very well played to my opponent. Hopping to the final match, we get a very nice lead, Mega Swampert into Shiny Zacian. My opponent safe switches into Zygarde, and I can give Zygarde a monster energy head start because I'm not sending in Zacian. I'm sending in Xerneas. Xerneas does not have a weakness to ground, and Xerneas just has such a commanding matchup. I now have a ton of energy on the Swampert for later in the game. I can overfarm with the Xerneas and play to the CMB tie. Moonblast lands, absolutely rocking the Zygarde, and I'm very comfortable no-shielding as they fire off the Earthquake. This will set up a farm down, and my opponent knows it, so they pivot back into the Zacian. They snipe me down, but I have so much energy on the Swampert. I'm going for broke. I'm full set of the Earthquake. Earthquake connects. Zacian gets one shot, and my opponent reveals their final Pokemon as Mega Latios. Mega Latios is an incredibly cool pick. They're going to be spamming out Aura Spheres every 10 turns, but luckily for me, I can barely survive the back-to-back Aura Spheres because their Dragon Breaths just do such little damage. So I no-shield. Aura Sphere number 1 is going to land. They're going to make it to Aura Sphere number 2, but that's still just not going to be a problem with the Zacian. My switch timer will be up soon. I cannot let them catch. There's the switch into the Zygarde, and now I get to respond with the Mega Swampert, and this game is over. I have the Behemoth Blade banked in the back. They will fire off a Crunch. Oh, that does nothing. Swampert gets the full farm down, exiting with the Earthquake loaded, and this is game over. Mega Swampert gets its revenge. Earthquake lands onto Latios. Opponent sees the writing on the wall and concedes the match. Even though Mega Swampert is nowhere close to the best Mega in the Mega Master League, I ended up having quite a bit of fun with it. I knew that even though it's not the greatest Pokemon around, it does do one thing well, and that is beat Zacian. And I'm pretty sure that most every Mega Master League team is going to have a Zacian somewhere. So the odds of running into one are honestly not the worst. I do think that when building for the Mega Master League, always making sure you have at least one pretty solid Zacian check should put you in a pretty good spot. My personal favorite one is Zekrom. That's what I used in the Tyranitar video some days ago. Zekrom does a really nice job of shutting it down, but also just has very strong neutrals across the board. Whereas unfortunately, Swampert's issue in the Mega Master League is, even though it's a Mega Pokemon, its neutral matchups are honestly not the greatest. If it runs into something like Palkia, it ends up feeling very bait dependent, where if you get an Earthquake shielded or a Hydro Cannon bait no shielded, then you're just kind of in absolute shambles because your pacing isn't the greatest. Now, I know Mudshot is getting buffed next season, so Swampert will be improving. Unfortunately, I don't think we get Mega Masters next season, so we won't get to see the newly buffed Mega Swampert. But for it being not the greatest Mega ever, I was pleasantly surprised to have back-to-back 3-2 sets. I felt like the backline ended up really being the right call, as Zacian and Xerneas were really nice answers to a lot of the Double Dragon or Dragon plus Gyarados teams that were very popular. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed watching today's video, please do help support the channel by leaving a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you have not. And an extra special thank you as always to our channel members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is genuinely so appreciated. Thank you guys always very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.